Oh, hi there. This is Iron Drac, and I'm reporting the sad news of the report that Kate Spade has died by apparent suicide. I first heard of the news on CBC, and they gave a description of her that she invented handbag style fashion that she was able to build into a bit of a company and she's sold her portion. CBC said 90 million US, but I looked up on CNN and it said what 33 million US. So okay, there's an inconsistency there. Um, a company was going to buy them out for 2.4 billion just recently. Um, so the thing is, Kate Spade, I'm gonna be honest, I'd never heard of her. I'm not interested in fashion at all. But, if a respected member of the community, of the business world, commits suicide, it's never a good thing. Um, Evidently, according to CNN, her label wasn't doing particularly well. They didn't have a very good winter season last year, and there were rumors of a takeover. But shares went up. They went up nearly $20 US. That's a significant increase for people that have a lot of shares in that particular business. And, to put it bluntly, the fashion industry is really cutthroat. I mean, it just is. It's run basically by, from what an outsider would think, two sets of groups of people: homosexuals and bitter old women. And I mean like Cruella de Vil types. There have been some Disney adaptations since then. I think there was a TV series where they portray her as not being so bad, but you know what I mean. They're like chic. I made a video saying Lady Gaga was turning into such a character, or eventually when she becomes an older woman, that is what she will be. So in light of the takeover of the business, I think she was no longer part of. I mean, when you're talking that kind of money, you have no idea. Even the people who do this research for a living and are actually in the fashion, circle of, they know what's going on. It's like being in the tech world or something. But even they don't really know. You have to go higher up the food chain to learn anything if you're even interested, and most people are not. If you're not making money out of something, it's sometimes very difficult to be interested in something. Obviously, women like handbags and things like that, but not many people, methodically read fashion magazines and, just things about handbags and things like that. I mean, there are people that do, but most people don't. And they don't for particular reasons, mostly because it's kind of boring. But it was good on her that she made money. And CBC had said that she'd sold her portion for 90 million US. And that is a comfortable sum of money. It isn't too much, but it's plenty. It's like you can live completely comfortable, don't have to work another day in your life if you don't want to. Although, actually, when you're, up there in the stratosphere with that kind of money, will want to get involved in some projects. There's always interesting things to do in the world. Um, so anyway, as I said, the industry is a very savage industry, in particular the fashion industry. And no doubt, a dip in sales and a new company taking over will have angered some people within her company, and through whatever connections it would have affected her. Uh, it really shouldn't have. I mean, they pulled out, according to the news anyway, at an appropriate time, like well over 15 years ago. And it really shouldn't have been an issue. But the thing is, when money's involved, especially large sums of money, I mean, in this world, you can get in trouble for having $200 in your wallet. So if you got 90 million US in your bank account, or roughly, depending on if they made money or lost money or whatever, you're gonna get all kinds of lurkers coming out of just everywhere all the time, and they'll never leave you alone because they just smell that money. And I'm a bit of a Protoss, so lurkers, they ain't no problem for me. But anyway, yeah, like she left a suicide note, and she mentions her husband. She mentions her 13-year-old daughter. Um, they didn't go into specifics as to what she said, and it's probably for the best. Although there will be nosy Parkers who are obviously higher up the media food chain, who don't get the garbage like us guys at the bottom, who will really be into it, who really want to know what's going on, and really not respecting the sanctity of somebody's dignity and all that sort of stuff. Now, having all said that, to be honest with you, I don't think she committed suicide. I've made similar videos to this before. Um, Heath Ledger being prime example. Coincidentally, it was either yesterday or the day before somebody commented on that video, and I hadn't had a comment on that video in ages. Like, I'm talking months I hadn't had a comment. And somebody commented and adamantly denied that Heath Ledger was alive, and didn't, of course, didn't provide any real proof or anything at all. Just a simple, he's not dead, or no, he's not alive. But people, they just don't want to use deductive reasoning. And I'm going, had Kate Spade committed suicide and the television didn't mention it, would most people have known? And the question is absolutely not. If you're not heavily interested in that industry, you wouldn't know at all. Uh, I mean, even if you were aware of her brand name and all that sort of stuff, it would take months or years for you to pick up on it. It would just be like one of those things like, oh, that person, whatever, they committed suicide, a few years back or whatever. And the fact that it was on television, what it says to me is that they're saying, um, "Oh, she's committed suicide. We're making a point to say that, and you know, uh, leave this to her immediate family to keep it private and all that sort of stuff." But they're mentioning it to us, which says to me that I think she's just gone in hiding, getting away from the lurkers. And that makes perfect sense, and it's quite feasible to do. I mean, she would be in a position where she has that kind of money where she could just disappear, and the lurkers, they're just going to be, peons, like small-time lawyers and things like that, or maybe municipal um, attorneys, or or whatever. I don't know the names of these sort of things. I don't get involved in that sort of stuff. I don't know specifics in that nature, but I do know that the television has a tendency to constantly lie, and same with the internet. And they only ever bring up something that nobody knows about, or not most people don't know about, if they want to bring it up to say they're not bringing it up. And that's exactly what that news story today was, not only on CNN, but also CBC and the news stations I watched and read. They were bringing it up to say they're not bringing it up. And that's just to, quell any of, the women who bought her handbags in the early 2000s and the 90s and things like that. Because people who were buying that sort of stuff today, I mean, like, I have a Hugo Boss coat and things like that, but I don't give no damn about the guy who makes Hugo Boss coats. As long as the coat stays relatively the same and, looks cool, then, it's like I don't know the guy, okay? So, that's different, but, and I did say, a nice person committing suicide is obviously not good. And, there are people on the internet who actually heckle and, suggest such things as being good because who knows, they're kind of screwed up in the head. I've got trolls that every now and then they say that kind of junk. Um, anyway, is just my opinion that I think she ran off. She disappeared somewhere, and her daughter is probably going to go with her wherever that may be. The attention will be taken off, and obviously, the lower gentry are going to notice that, but they won't be able to do anything about it because they'll all be sworn to an oath of silence. Because anyone who breaks that oath of silence won't be on the inside learning new information. They'll get kicked out because that's what people with information like to do, is they like to kick out people, so that the circle remains smaller and smaller, so that they're the only people who know and then theoretically can make money out of it. So that's how secrets are kept. Um, it's level by level, and it to me, she didn't strike me as by her appearance as someone who would commit suicide. I know you can't judge that just by how someone looks, but it does actually play a factor, and I'm just not convinced. I mean, obviously, I don't need to see the autopsy report. I don't need to see, the crime scene and things like that. I'm not Grissom from CSI. I don't need to look at that sort of stuff. But I'm just saying, I don't have to believe the official narrative. It's my decision not to. And, some people are going to go, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. You can't think that. And it's like, I thought we lived in the Western Hemisphere where you're allowed to have differing opinions. I guess if you don't want me to have a different opinion, then go live in a fascist authoritarian regime, which, the Western Hemisphere kind of is, but uh, you have to, you know, not entirely think that way all the time, or else, assholes will be able to run around doing whatever they want. Like, for example, pestering innocent people uh, to the point where they, uh, you know, uh, want to get away from it all, and that's a horrible thing. Um, so I've not read any news stories saying that she's alive and she faked her death, but totally plausible. I believe it. I don't have to read it on the internet or see a video of it or whatever. There won't be one because that's just how the internet's censored. A lot of people think the internet's not censored. That's not true. Only an idiot would think the internet is not censored. You may see a lot of crazy shit on the internet. And by the way, I have on my Facebook account, I've had the most bizarre conversations, and not on my part. It's been the people I've been talking to, and it's the same crowd over and over again. Like I got trolls on my social media, and they're very, very dumb, predictable, not interesting, and they don't have anything going for them. So she will have had her circle of, we'll just call them trolls because we don't know what else to call them. We don't even know what her circle was like. But anything with money has a circle, no matter what, whether it's negative cult of personality, positive cult of personality, neutral cult of personality, whatever. And to me, I'm just not convinced. Not convinced that she committed suicide. And I couldn't help but notice on CNN, they said doorknob, right? They said that she hanged herself with a scarf on her doorknob, right? The thing is, they spelt it dork knob. I mean, door was spelled properly, but they put the door with the knob, so it sounds like dork knob. I don't know. I think that's a little technicality. I don't think they make mistakes like that on purpose. I mean, they don't make them unless it's on purpose, is what I meant to say. Like all those Twitters where someone, said something they shouldn't, and it caused all this ruckus, like Roseanne and her show being canceled because of a few tweets, deliberately done. It's just there's no way when there's money involved, accidents like that don't happen. I mean, obviously, celebrities and fashion moguls are real people. They do things like get drunk and say things. That does count for something, but it's not the same as an official Twitter page. uh, Roseanne can't go on her official Twitter page when she's had a few drinks and make comments. Or if she does, it doesn't get to the mainstream public because it has to go through the people who support her and make money off of Roseanne to do that sort of thing. Um, anyway, I've talked about a few things here, and if I could get some constructive criticism, I would appreciate that. But as of this standpoint, I believe that Kate Spade is very much alive. And where she is, we'll probably never know. She'll probably disappear into obscurity because she just didn't want to have anything to do with that much money, 2.4 billion. You don't want that kind of money. Uh, Basically, you're not a person anymore. You're whatever this crowd of sycophants around you tells you you are, and you don't want that. So anyway, talk to you guys later. Have